I don't want to go among mad people.
Oh, you can't help that. Most everyone's mad here. You may have noticed that I'm not all there myself. And the moras out of breath.
Goodness. If the people here are like that, I must try not to upset them.
Something that virtually everyone dealing with narcissistic personalities runs into, and that is that narcissists appear to have a core justification for their behavior, beliefs, and choices. This is not about what we could call secondary localized justifications, meaning the ones that they come up with in the moment whenever they're confronted or when they're caught. Those secondary type of justifications are more mutable, transient, and situation-based. In other words, these type of justifications are more likely to be based on what's going on in that very moment and what they can come up with at the time. The justifications might change depending on circumstances or be contradicted by other justifications in the face of evidence or information that challenges a previous justification. These secondary justifications are applied locally, you might say, like a local anesthetic. Narcissists have identity disturbances, and because of that, they have a very unstable self-image. The core justification of the narcissistic personality, what we could call the primary global or primary general justification, is not usually mutable or transient like the secondary ones. It is applied globally, meaning it's applied to everything, and is identity adjacent and identity involved, meaning that the primary global justification has deep and direct involvement with whatever semblance of identity a narcissistic person might have. The easiest way to explain this concept would be that it's a belief about the self that also serves as both a justification for behavior, expectations, and demands, as well as an image to identify themselves with, such as, I am a victim, or I'm special in this specific way, like I'm a genius or I'm rich. This image is often stereotypical or rigid and even cartoonish. It's generally applied globally across all aspects of this person's life and is the basis for many of their secondary, momentary justifications. I cannot be held responsible for my behavior in this situation because I'm a victim. I don't have to ask permission to take other people's things because I'm special or absolved from this rule in this specific way. This justification framework would be very important to the overall structure of the narcissistic personality. The narcissistic personality is defensive in both form and function, as is most of their behavior, even when it doesn't appear to be so. So an identity framework built around a core justification would be an intrinsic part of that structure. Narcissists fear that they are unworthy. This is a very, very deep-seated, oftentimes unconscious belief and fear. If they cannot justify their own perceived unworthy existence, this severely impacts their ability to function. This is obviously extremely important, so essentially they need some way to blame other people for their unworthiness or justify their inabilities, because just denying them isn't enough. It doesn't work. Shame is a large part of the need for this, and they don't just need to justify their overall existence, but their behavior as well. If there's no justification available when humans are told that we've done something wrong, there's usually shame. Toxic disproportionate shame is a core component of the narcissistic personality structure, therefore built-in global justifications would be necessary. Without these, the toxic and disproportionate shame is overwhelming. It could be life-threatening. The existence of both core shame and a core reactionary justification in response to that shame creates a sort of a dual opposing core of the personality structure. On one hand, they have all of this shame about who they are or are not. On the other hand, they've created a justification for why that's not their fault, or why it doesn't matter, or why it's okay. Non-psychopathic narcissists understand the difference between right and wrong, but they have a lot of ego and image conflicts just in general. Therefore, they require justifications to defeat any shame they may feel when others tell them they've not come across as perfect, right, and correct. This is not shame for their behavior per se, nor is it attached to or related to feeling remorse for hurting other people. It is directly related to other people seeing that they are wrong, bad, not good enough, less than. As an aside, this is likely why narcissists appear to need justifications and psychopaths don't seem to need them at all. Psychopaths may make justifications to try to avoid consequences, but it's not because they need to control how other people see them or combat shame the way that narcissists do, and this can be obvious in the type of justifications that psychopaths make. Psychopaths don't appear to feel shame or have any ego conflicts regarding what they are versus what they want people to think they are or wish they were. Narcissists don't appear to be able to experience themselves in any real way except through the reactions and perceptions of other people. The way people see them is extremely important to narcissists for this reason. The way other people see them directly affects the way they feel about themselves. Narcissists use justifications to defeat the shame of appearing to others in a way that is bad, wrong, unworthy, right? Hence the endless refrain of, I didn't do anything wrong, you wronged me first, or otherwise deserved it. People who don't feel shame wouldn't feel the need to continuously justify their harmful actions in ways that make them appear to be the victim. Justifications don't just work to nullify any shame about a person's actions either. They also work to nullify any empathy that might exist for the other person or people involved. This isn't just true of narcissists either. If humans in general can believe somebody deserves something, or maybe that we're doing a good thing instead of a bad thing, why should we not do it? What's stopping us? Perhaps even more than empathy, or the lack of empathy, the ability to justify one's own behavior may be the predictive factor regarding the level of willingness a person possesses to do things that are hurtful, dangerous, destructive, or wrong. Even people with empathy can and will do things that hurt others if they can believe they're somehow justified in doing it. Justifications can be things that are true or false, real or imagined. They can be weak excuses or solid reasons. The important thing seems to be how much a person believes the justification entitles them to do and how far it entitles them to go in hurting others. People who are not pathologically narcissistic, who feel justified somehow in hurting other people, usually still have a line that they're not going to cross. They don't seem to believe that their justification applies to literally anything they might choose to do. There comes a point, even for very angry or horrifically victimized people, where they recognize that their actions would no longer be justified. This does not appear to be the case with narcissistic personalities. Narcissists seem to believe that they are entitled to go as far as they choose, and it appears to be directly related to their ability to justify their behavior. This makes sense when we understand that all narcissists are not master manipulators, and they are certainly not all geniuses either, but they are all masters at justification. Anyone who has dealt with a pathologically narcissistic person in any real capacity knows that. In therapeutic environments, it may be worth investigating whether clinical management strategies focused more specifically on challenging, deconstructing, and dismantling the narcissistic personality's justification framework would be more successful than other types of strategies. It's doubtful that this can be addressed in many narcissists due to their rigidity and the importance of the justification framework to the overall personality structure, but it's perhaps worth looking at. Now, with that being said, what might be noteworthy for clinical or therapeutic applications is not related to practical interactions like relationships or family interactions. Challenging a narcissist's justifications is at the very least pointless and at the very most dangerous. These things are a very important part of the defensive structure of their personality, maybe the most important part, and challenging them is extremely risky. The best way to deal personally with toxic narcissistic personalities, or with anyone who continues to justify destructive or harmful behavior, is to exit the situation.